This is CBC Here and Now.
Disgust, outrage, disappointment. The people who failed to organize, have created this hilariously humiliating fiasco.
Tonight, it is the lowest showing for the NDP in this province in nearly half a century. What happened?
And can the PCs pick up that support?
We were taxed to live in our own province, which wasn't right.
Grilling the Liberals.
Tough questions for Dwight Ball when he meets voters on the Avalon. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. Off limits for fishing, oil and gas. A massive chunk of this province's marine life is being protected.
It's known as the Laurentian Channel, and it is now the largest protected area in Canada. As Here and Now's Zach Gowdy explains, the industries most affected by this are reacting with guarded optimism for now.
The Laurentian Channel is off the southwest coast of Newfoundland, 11,580 square kilometers, now protected from industrial usage. To put that in perspective, it's an area roughly the same size as the entire Avalon Peninsula. It's a highly sensitive area, home to some of the province's highest concentration of corals, as well as leatherback sea turtles and mating grounds for porbeagle sharks. This week, the federal government officially designated it a marine protected area, the biggest one in the country. Ottawa wants to protect 10% of Canada's oceans by 2020. While the ecological impact will be positive, there could be economic impacts as well. For the fishing industry, it's an area that doesn't see much activity today, but fishing advocates are relieved that they're not the only ones being kicked out.
The biggest piece was concerned that oil and gas and other marine industrial users weren't going to be prohibited. So that's what's new with this announcement, and it's been a concern for harvesters for some time that a possible double standard could exist.
Instead, the oil and gas industry has been banned from the area as well. But for it too, this was an area of low potential with plenty of ocean left to operate in.
Our entire offshore is some 1.8 million square kilometers. And this area, I believe, is something close to 11 or 12,000 square kilometers. So it's a significant chunk by any stretch of the imaginations. But at the same time, we realize that there's over 80% of our offshore that's neither designated a protected area nor under license from oil and gas activities.
The vastly more valuable areas are off the east coast, where oil companies are bidding aggressively for exploration rights. There was some industry concern that areas here would also be protected from drilling. But for now, this stretch of ocean is still open for business. Zach Gowdy, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, not everybody was happy about the snow that's falling through Central, but we did get a couple of photos. Alex Greenham took advantage of that, made a snowman this afternoon. He's 7 years old from Gander. Now, the snow has tapered off. We're just seeing some flurries as you take a look at the satellite radar. Still looking at those clouds across the island and then up through Labrador. Things should clear out as we head through the overnight tonight as that system pulls off. Strongest winds right now are along the northeast coast. They're going to move off right along with that as that low continues to track a little bit further east. We should see some clearing across the island and up through Labrador as we head through the overnight tonight. Tomorrow looks pretty nice as well, but I'll have all your details on your weekend forecast coming up.
Well, the candidates for the provincial election are locked in, and one thing jumps out. A lot of people in this province won't even get the chance to vote for the NDP in this election. There are only 14 candidates in 40 districts. That's the fewest candidates in generations. Now, one former candidate says the party has no one to blame but itself. Here and Now's Peter Cowan takes a deeper look.
If you wanted to find a time when the NDP had fewer than 14 candidates, you'd have to go back almost 50 years. Even when elections were almost certain wins for Danny Williams or Brian Tobin, the party did better than this.
Disgust, outrage, disappointment, and frustration.
Bob Buckingham doesn't mince words about the state of the party he's run for and volunteered with for decades. He first got involved with the party in the 1980s. He's run federally and provincially. 4 years ago, he was on the ballot and co-chaired the Election Readiness Committee. He says the party's problem isn't a surprise election, it's about a lack of planning.
The people who failed to organize, have created this hilariously humiliating fiasco that we're now facing as as a party. You know, considering where we were, as you said, at some of the polls just a few years ago. It's unbelievable in terms of being able to comprehend how much the party has failed to build.
It was just 3 years ago that the party actually had a lead in polls after the Liberals' first bad news budget. Since then, the leadership has changed. Earl McCurdy was replaced with Jerry Rogers, who was replaced with Alison Coffin, who took over just months ago.
We have a very solid group of candidates, so I'm very pleased with them.
But are you happy that there's only going to be 14 NDPers in districts on the ballot in this election?
I am okay with the fact that we have as many as we do. I'm very disappointed that everyone in the province will not be able to vote for an NDP candidate. That is very unfortunate.
So why weren't you able to get more candidates on the ballot?
Well, it was a very short turnaround. Obviously, we had expected a 2-week debate on the budget, which unfortunately we didn't get. And a number of our candidates we had identified weren't available at this time. We had a number who were out for illness, we had parental and child care, we had work commitments, so a number of reasons why we missed.
It's an internal bankruptcy and an absolute political organizational failure. And so Alison has to give the party line, and all credence to her for giving that. But the real reason is that they were just not ready. The leadership, the executive, the people they had around them in terms of the staff doing the work, all failed.
Oh, I think we are restructuring. Failure is not where I see us. We have a strong base.
Now the party is focusing on the few seats where it will be on the ballot, like Coffin's race in St. John's East, Kitty Vitty. She's up against George Murphy, who 4 years ago was an NDP MHA. This time, though, he's running for the Liberals.
Hi, I'm good. I'm Alison Coffin.
Peter Cowan, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, as reported, the official candidate list is out. The PCs and Liberals are going head-to-head in more than a dozen of the province's 40 districts. Here Now's Garrett Barry was in Gander today with the PC campaign, and he met a local candidate who's hoping to move in.
No NDP candidates make for a lonely campaign. All the better, according to the challenger.
Do you think you'll be able to pick up those 1,000 votes?
Oh, I think I'll definitely get most of them, yep.
The majority of Newfoundland. Last time, the NDP offered a youthful alternative. Ryan Wagg says he's now that candidate.
I think a lot of the progressive voters that we see in the NDP are young people. And the young people want to see someone go in and make a change. They are tired of just a large group of older gentlemen. And I understand Mr. Crosby's an older gentleman as well. But there also has to be wisdom.
His leader? He says NDP voters should feel at home.
You know, nobody in the NDP party, camp, or NDP sympathizer should have any trouble with our social policies or values. And the fiscally responsible part is just addressing the question of how we're going to pay for all the things that citizens of this province expect by way of government services.
Of the 26 ridings where the NDP are now off the ballot, 5 stand out. That's where, in 2015, those NDP votes could have flipped the races. Crosby says he can pick up those voters, and he says his one-on-one campaigning style can do it. It's not about huge rallies. Crosby says, forget them.
Rallies typically are, those people who attend are already the faithful. We don't need to reach the faithful and preach to the converted. We need to find voters where they are and convert them to voting for us. That is job one.
The slogans, the chanting, the mobbing crowds, this trip, it's different.
Just to remind ourselves, what are we running for?
And the old Tory superstars, they're staying away.
It's only 3.5, 4 years since, we returned out of government. So people want to get the idea that there's a new thrust to the party, new leadership, new faces, and new ideas for the future.
Garrett Barry, CBC News, Lewisport.
And with all the candidates locked down, we're seeing that this election is not like any other in recent memory. More than 1/3 of the districts only have 2 candidates running. In 16 of the 40 districts, there will be two-way races where voters can choose from just 2 candidates. Only 5 of the districts have 4 candidates running in them.
Well, tough questions for Liberal leader Dwight Ball on the campaign trail today. People at a meet and greet in Dildo wanting to know about trust. Here Now's Katie Breen is live now in the community. So Katie, what happened?
Well, it was the first stop for the Liberal campaign bus. They went into a candidate's headquarters, gave speeches, then this.
When you got in last time, we were taxed to death. We had permits on top of permits. We had new permits put in place. We were taxed to live in our own province, which wasn't right. But right now, how can we trust you to do what you're saying you're going to do, because you didn't do it the last time?
I agree with you. 2015 was a very desperate time in this province, but we are beyond that now. The budget is out there. You can see it. You can analyze it. You know where we are now, the changes that we've made in taxation. And this province, I will tell you now, has a bright future as a result of the plan that we put in place.
Ball spent a good 10 minutes chatting with Thorne about the concerns she raised, but she wasn't alone. Another woman asked if Ball planned to keep the promises in his budget around autism. Others criticized Muskrat Falls and road work. Ball says this is a very different province than it was 4 years ago.
Fact is, there is about the same debt right now that we've had back in 2015. The fact is that we've been able to manage our debt. We can borrow now. We are not borrowing for operational money that we could not borrow in late 2015. So it's a much different province. We're further ahead than we were forecasted in 2015.
Now, there was some positive feedback. People at the Liberal function thanked Ball for the Husky deal in Argentia, for making some changes to the Highway Traffic Act, and for some disability supports.
All right, Katie, you mentioned promises. We were tipped off during here now last night that there'd be an announcement, the first election campaign announcement last night. What did that look like?
Well, it wasn't your typical audience, that's for sure. In Paradise this weekend, Ball decided to announce his proposal at the banquet. He asked the kids if they ever got hurt playing hockey, and then he told him about his plans for concussion legislation.
There's measures that we need to take to prevent, make sure that when kids are ready to go back when they're healthy, and also to put awareness and education at the hands of the coaches so that they have the ability to recognize when there's a potential head injury. They remove the athletes from play and yet monitor them when they do return to play.
Like you said, that was his first policy announcement. He's planning to make the rest of them on Monday, probably in front of a different crowd. Live in Dildo, I'm Katie Breen for Here and Now.
Still with the election, politicians are weighing in tonight on a story that we brought you last evening. This is 6-year-old Lauren Tucker, and she uses a wheelchair because she has spastic cerebral palsy. Now, her parents say the only chance she has at independence as an adult lies in getting the equipment and the medical procedures that she needs now. The problem is the family can't afford the substantial cost of tens of thousands of dollars. And Lauren's parents say repeated attempts to access government funding, well, that's all been rejected. Here's what some political leaders are saying about this family's predicament.
This is one of the things that you always find out when you get into communities and you speak to families and stories. And we heard stories here in Lab West last night of similar circumstances. So what we have to do is we put in place a financial hardship policy back in February of 2019 to support families that on an individual basis find themselves in difficult circumstances. I've reached out to Dr. Hagee. He's going to expand on this a little bit more. And so if a family out there in our communities, this is something that we recognize from time to time. Systems are not perfect, processes are not perfect, and from time to time people slip through those cracks.
The priority needs to be to make those kids as independent through their developmental stage as children as possible, and that way you maximize their potential to be independent adults. And right now it appears that the criteria for funding are being applied inflexibly. What they look at first is the financial means of the parents, and they don't look beyond that to the extent of the needs of the children. And I think what we need is an approach that looks at both those factors and makes a balanced decision.
To go and sing and show them that we can sing through whatever happens.
Come on, we just have to stay positive and we'll rebuild that cathedral brick by brick.
The show must go on.
The Atlantic Boy Choir will still perform in France after the fire at the Notre Dame Cathedral derailed their plans.
Well, I'm here at the St. John the Baptist
Cathedral in St. John's, where some local clergy are getting ready to snooze on the pews. They want to bring attention to furniture poverty here in the province. I'll have a talk with them coming up on Here and Now.
This weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. Order your tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
Weekend's upon us. Getting up this morning, though, looked kind of like deja vu all over again with the slush and mess.
Yeah, it didn't quite melt.
It's going to get better, though, right?
Yes. Yes, it definitely will. Let's just get past the next 12 hours. And, you know, temperature is still quite cool across the board. You have to get either along the south coast or in Labrador to see temperatures in the mid-single digits, rather. 6 degrees up through Happy Valley, Goose Bay, Labrador City sitting at 4. And then 7 degrees right now in Burgeo. Now, we did see that low pressure system earlier today bring all that snow for the northeast coast. That's now well offshore. In behind that, finally starting to pull away, which means a ridge of high pressure has room to move in, and things should clear out as we head through the overnight tonight. And you can see that on the radar, not a whole lot happening, just some lingering drizzle, which isn't being picked up on the satellite or the radar for the Avalon. But again, that will end as we head through the overnight tonight. The next mess is now moving over Quebec and into the Maritime provinces. That will make its way to us by Sunday. So Here's a look at your forecast for tonight. Winds will be generally light as that low continues to pull away, just down to about 40 to 50 km/h winds on the northeast coast. Otherwise, temperatures dipping down into the minus single digits, -3 for Corner Brook, -8 for St. Anthony, and we will see those skies clear. Tonight, up through Labrador City, you're going to see a temperature quite mild through the overnight, -1, with that potential for some flurries. And then -2 for Happy Valley Goose Bay. Along the coast, a little cooler with those winds generally light, around 15 km/h tonight. Now, out ahead of the next system, already have a wreck house wind warning in place. Winds gusting at about 100 km/h tomorrow afternoon, and we can see that as this system rolls in. We're going to get into that southwesterly flow with those winds picking up early on in the afternoon. Then they will ease quickly into the evening hours, rather. You can see that wind pick up there out of the southeast. And then as we head through the day, it does look like we should see plenty of sunshine along the most of the island up through Labrador. You're going to start to see that snow move in towards the morning, change over to rain as these temperatures bump up tomorrow. And then towards the evening hours is when we'll start to see that rain push along the west coast as well, along with that cloud cover. It will all move in essentially at the same time. So here's a look at those temperatures. Much warmer tomorrow, double digits it looks like down along the south coast, a little cooler, especially along the northeast coast. So anywhere along the coast, those temperatures will likely be hovering around 3, 4, maybe 5 degrees as your afternoon high. But light winds, clear skies for the most part, maybe just a few cloudy periods. Grand Falls, Windsor 9 degrees, Harbor Breton 8. And then heading towards the coast, similar temperatures. Again, Port aux Basques likely only reaching a high near 4 degrees tomorrow. Southeast winds near 40 km/h. The Northern Peninsula nice as well as Labrador, 8 degrees. And 4 degrees for Lab City. So a little bit cooler, and that's when we're going to start to see that precipitation move in again, starting as snow, transitioning through to rain more than likely into the afternoon as those temperatures jump up. Southeasterlies gusting upwards of about 50 km/h. Then we're going to start to see that cloud cover move towards Happy Valley Goose Bay late in the day. Most of the rest of the province will see that move in on Sunday, but I'll have all those details when I come back in a little bit. Anthony?
Thanks, Ashley. Well, some wayward snores might be coming out of the Anglican Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in St. John's tonight.
Yes, members of the local clergy will be taking a snooze on the pews, but they are doing it for a purpose.
They certainly are, and Jacob Barker is at the cathedral. So, Jacob, what can you tell us?
Yeah, well, as you can see, people are starting to get ready to spend the night here at the cathedral. It's not going to be the most comfortable of nights, but maybe that's the point. They're here to bring attention to people that might not have a proper bed to sleep on or a comfortable chair to sit in at their house. They want to bring attention to something they term furniture poverty. And the hope is to get some donations rolling in for the Home Again Furniture Bank. It's an organization that services the entire Northeast Avalon. Earlier today, I got to check them out in action, out on a delivery to help fill a home that needed quite a few things. The group's end is to end furniture poverty. They say there's quite a need for it in this area. Last year, they put beds, sofas, tables into more than 316 households. This year, there are 160 households on a wait list for furniture. I spoke with Maureen Limburner about the need.
So Home Again exists to end furniture poverty in the region. So each week we collect donations of gently used furniture, which are then redistributed to people who need it.
Okay. Why is this an important thing to be doing right now?
There are a lot of people in need. In 3.5 years, we have delivered to more than 1,000 homes, and we've still got about 160 households waiting for furniture that we don't yet have to deliver. So each and every household makes a huge difference.
So tonight really is all about donations. That can be furniture and of course cash for other household items like linens, dishes, houseware, just about anything that helps make a house into a home.
Everything that we have is donated to us from people throughout the region. So these are people who might be downsizing, moving, or purchasing new, and who decide to donate to us knowing that we're the only place that doesn't resell furniture. It's always delivered for free to people who are referred to us.
So the clergy that are here are hoping that their uncomfortable night will turn into comfort for somebody else. And I'll have a chat with one of them coming up later on the show. Live for Here and Now in St. John's, I'm Jacob Barker.
That's a good cause, and you can check out Home Again. I saw they have a Facebook page. You can check them out there. And also, Karen, it's the one time you can go to church and not get in trouble for falling asleep. So it's a great cause.
Practicing for the biggest performance of their young lives. Up next, we'll tell you about local choir boys who flew to Paris today. They were supposed to sing at the Notre Cathedral, but now have a new venue because of the devastating fire.
And staying with that fire, Carolyn gets to pursue her bee passion tonight when she brings you an amazing story about how the bees were spared from those horrible flames. Stay tuned.
Well, anyone who watches this show on a regular basis may have noticed that I have a passion for honeybees. It began when I found bees living in the walls of my house, and I decided to keep them in a hive in my backyard. Well, there was a story recently that caught my attention and may have caught yours too. It's connected to one of the biggest headlines in the world last week, the fire at the Notre Cathedral in Paris. Now, people around the globe watched in horror and heartbreak as the 856-year-old cathedral burnt. But out of that story came another one about honeybees. The rooftop of that cathedral is home to nearly 200,000 honeybees, and the beekeeper who tends to them thought for sure they would all perish. But somehow they actually survived this inferno. Beekeeper Sybille Moulin joins us now from outside Versailles in France to talk about her bees. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello.
Hi. So the bees went through quite an ordeal, I'm sure, with the fire. How are they doing now? Do you know?
I had some video from the people I know, my contact in Notre Dame. I've seen bees coming out and getting in the 3 hives, so I think they're happy and okay.
What was going through your mind as you watched the cathedral burn?
I was first really shocked and without voice, and when you know me, I'm always talking, and it was just terrifying, because just being a French citizen or any citizen of the world, to see that cathedral burning was terrible. I was not very worried about the bees at the beginning.
How in the world did the bees survive?
I think because they were rather far away, because the cathedral is very high, and only the roof part was on fire. And also when it's very hot, the hot air goes up and not down. I was more worried about the firemen work, because if the beehives were on their way, maybe they had to move them, and I couldn't see that with the pictures on TV. But the second day, when I had pictures taken from drones, you could see that it was just a nightmare for the cathedral. But I could see the 3 dots made by the roof of the beehives on the sacristy, and nothing in front, so no melted wax. So maybe it was all okay and safe. I was very relieved, and I had hope at this point.
And it's amazing. I mean, it was a story that made headlines around the world. Those bees are pretty famous right now, actually. A lot of people saying it's a miracle they survived. It is really quite amazing.
Yes, it is. Indeed. Because the fire, but also the water. Maybe it could have moved or pushed the hives on one side, or make them fall apart. And no.
So they survived the fire, the smoke, and the water.
Yes, indeed.
So how did bees end up on the roof of the cathedral in the first place?
It was one of my boss, Nicolas Géant's dream. He has always wanted bees on Notre Dame. So we had bees like that since 2012 or 2013.
Yeah. Why was it his dream to have the bees on top of the cathedral?
Because I think he wanted bees to be famous and bees to be loved in one city, and you have to fetch the best monuments, one well known, and Notre Dame was this one.
They're in an urban environment. It's a big tourist attraction. Is it a good environment for bees to live?
Oh, they don't care about the tourists. They care about the food around, and it's full of hedges, bushes, gardens, trees. It's a very nice place to be when you're a bee, Paris.
And you've been a beekeeper for a while. Why do you love bees so much?
I've always been into biology, and I think I like also people, and to think about a social animal, and such a tiny and cute one as honeybee is a good thing.
And for people who don't know a lot about honeybees, and I was definitely one of them not too long ago, what do you think people should know about honeybees?
They are social, they are cute, they gather honey and they pollinate trees for them first, but also for us. So they are altruist,
They are really cute, you know? Honeybees, when you look at them really close up, they are quite adorable.
Yes, they're furry. They're like teddy bears, but teddy bees.
You don't want to hug them, though.
Yes, I do sometimes.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your beekeeping duties to speak with us from all the way over in Versailles. I really appreciate it, and I'm so happy that your bees are safe and sound.
Yes, me too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
It's like watching a pilot for a new show. Well, from cathedral bees to cathedral choirs, the Atlantic Boy Choir was invited to perform at Notre Dame this coming weekend. And as Chris O'Neill Yates reports, that trip to France took on special significance following the devastating fire.
Now, tenor-cent basses, can we have a little more sound at the end?
They're putting the finishing touches on their repertoire, making sure every note is just perfect before boarding their flight to Paris. Plans that 10 days ago seemed dashed.
Boys from across the province worked really hard to manage all the music that was selected. So we didn't know at the moment when the cathedral burned down what we would do.
I was sad, and I really wanted to sing there, but then it burned down.
Despite the Notre Dame fire, the boys felt they needed to share their music with a heartbroken city.
It's still important to go and sing and show them that we can sing through whatever happens. Like, instead of it just, instead of giving up, we can sing through anything.
When it looked like performing in Paris was off, the Canadian ambassador to France stepped in and invited the Atlantic Boy Choir to perform for an audience at the embassy in Paris.
I think it's great that we get another chance to share our music with the world, with at least with a little part of it.
You're still singing in this beautiful environment, but when you know the reason behind why you're singing, it's almost sad in a sense, because something that's been up and standing for so long has fallen now, just 2 weeks before we're supposed to be there.
Their focus now is to share their music as support to the people of France.
Music connects people, and especially in this time for Paris and for French nation, it's really important for us to be there and sing.
I'm honored. I think it's an absolute privilege to get to go, and it's such a troubled time for them to just lend their voices out to the French people when they've had, this awful disaster. I like to think that we're doing some good.
One day they hope to return to sing at Notre Dame, but for now,
I see our singing as kind of a way to say that, hey, things may be down now, but we can get past this. Come on, we just have to stay positive, and we'll rebuild that cathedral brick by brick.
From the ashes of Notre Dame, these boys from Newfoundland have learned an important lesson, that despite life's obstacles, the show must go on. Chris O'Neill Yates, CBC News, St. John's.
A great attitude.
Yeah,
right?
something positive coming out of something negative.
Yeah, and they get to sing at the Canadian Embassy in Paris. It's a pretty good gig. Anyway, good luck. You're going to have a great time.
Well, they're hoping the church mice don't come out tonight here at the St. John Baptist Cathedral in St. John's. The clergy here are cozying up, trying to get donations of furniture for people who need it. I'll have more on that coming up.
Welcome back. Well, we now go back to Jacob Barker, who is at the Anglican Cathedral in St. John the Baptist in St. John's, where a group of clergy is tucking in for a not-so-comfortable night's sleep.
Yeah, if you saw before the break, Jacob turned a TV stand-up into a nice lie-down. This is all about drumming up donations for furniture. Jacob's standing now, standing by with a guest. Jacob.
Yeah, Anthony, I'm here with Reverend Charlene Taylor, who's going to be spending the night here. Why are you doing this? Why are you spending the night here at the cathedral?
Well, the Anglican Diocese has been a founding partner of Home Again Furniture Bank, so it's a ministry that's very dear to us, and so we want to continue to support the work they do in the community. And so during Lent, the 40 days previous to Easter, and during the Easter season, we've been collecting funds to continue the work that they do to provide furniture to those in our communities. And so many people spend lots of nights without the creature comforts of beds. And so in solidarity of those who often are without beds, we're sleeping on the floor tonight.
Okay, and what is the need in the community? What kind of need do you see for this organization to be around?
Right now, there's 160 families on a wait list waiting for furniture, and that's everything from beds to sofas, kitchen tables, chairs. The need is constant.
Okay, and in terms of sleeping tonight, how are you going to be sleeping on the floor here?
Well, we're sleeping, some brought mattresses and blow-up beds, and some are going to sleep on pews, which are not padded, and we've all brought sleeping bags, and we're going to stay until 6 a.m.
Okay, and it's sort of a symbolic thing, hey?
It truly is, it truly is, because many of us are referral agents, so when somebody calls looking for furniture, we go and do house visits with them, and they show us their need, and I've gone into houses where it's been a new family who've arrived to Canada, or it might be a woman who's escaping violence, and often they have nothing. And so I see firsthand they may just be sleeping on a mat or a yoga mat on the floor. And so the need is real, and just in solidarity, we need to be able to remember that not everybody is so fortunate to have a bed.
And just quickly, if somebody does want to help, how can they?
Oh, absolutely. They can continue to give and give all the time. Just go directly to Home Again Furniture Bank website and hit the donate button, and you can give.
Thanks so much for speaking with us, Charlene.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
He's lost for words.
That was Jacob Barker reporting from the Anglican Cathedral in St. John's. So another nice story for us now, a neighborly story from BC, and it will certainly warm your heart.
Hundreds of teenagers showed up to say thank you and farewell to an old friend that they call the Waving Grandma. Dean Stolt has more.
It's something students from Highland Secondary School in Comox have been doing every day for years. But for the last time, they've come in the largest group ever to wave goodbye to a dear friend. Tinny Davidson is now 88 years old, but around 2007, when she and her husband moved into the home on Guthrie Road near Highland, they just started waving to the students every day, and the students began waving back. A bond between generations was born.
I just liked the look of the children. And they all looked in, and I thought, well, if they're looking in, I'll wave to them. And that's how it started.
We first met Tinny in 2014 after her husband Ken had passed. By then, the bond between Tinny and the students was so strong, they even held a Valentine's Day assembly in her honor.
I'm overwhelmed by it all. It's just...
Hundreds of students come to say a final goodbye to Tinny before she moves into an independent living facility.
Bye. No, it's just, I was shocked again that there's so many kids that want to say goodbye to me.
Have you waved to her every day? Have you walked by here?
I have, yeah, all the time, every day.
It has really brightened up all of our days every time we walk by here.
I think it's gonna be kind of a tough legacy to continue for the person living here now.
It's not often you see a bond like this between teenagers and the elderly.
I think I've connected very well with them. It's been fun.
certainly did connect.
Yeah, a lot of sweet stories tonight. That was wonderful.
Warm your heart for sure. Welcome back, everyone. So tomorrow's looking good. What about as we get into Sunday?
Yeah, so the first half of the weekend, lovely, but as we get into Sunday, not so much. We're going to get back into some gray skies and some rain. So we'll take a look at what the future tracker is saying. You can see that already over, or it's going to be over the Maritime provinces, eventually making its way towards the western portion of Labrador, and then changing over to showers through the overnight on Saturday. You can see that there. If we zoom in a little bit, you can see that system. By the time it makes it our way, it loses a little bit of steam, so we won't see as much rain, but certainly looking at the south coast, seeing that potential for some heavy rain overnight Sunday, or rather Sunday morning, and then eventually making its way across the island through the day on Sunday. And you can see that up through Labrador as well. Now, because temperatures will be hovering just a little bit above zero, there's a potential to see some flurries mixed in with that. And then eventually that will change over back to the potential for flurries by the time Monday morning rolls around. So here's a look at the forecast. Those temperatures will be still another warm day through most of the island. Along the south coast, a little cooler, 4 degrees in Port aux Basques, 9 in Corner Brook, 7 in Marystown. And then again in that onshore flow along the south, that's why we're seeing a little bit cooler temperatures. St. Anthony, 3 degrees, 5 for Lab City, again with that rain snow mix, and then that will spread across the board for your Sunday. Now, looking ahead, that system will eventually pull away. In behind that, though, we are getting into some of that cooler air on Monday. So we're going to see that potential to hang on to these unsettled conditions right through the day on Monday, and then it sticks around again through Tuesday. So it's not really moving much, and it does look like we're going to see some gray skies right through Tuesday afternoon. Again, up through Labrador, you're looking at flurries with those cooler temperatures. Along the coast, more likely a rain-snow mix. Eventually, Wednesday morning, that low pulls off. There is a high sitting to the west of us, but it's not going to make its way until later in the week. as that continues to track a little bit further east. Then it looks like Wednesday will be another rainy day for the island. So if we take a look at the next 5 days, those temperatures will stay above zero though for the most part. So first half of the weekend, like I said, beautiful, 8 degrees tomorrow, a little cooler in those onshore winds closer to the coast, breezy on Sunday. And then Monday, looking at that potential for rain. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, again, a little dicey. Those temperatures still sitting up above zero, but it could be either rain or snow depending on the time of the day. Central Newfoundland, very much the same forecast. Double digits for Sunday and Monday with that rain moving in late day. Might see a few peaks of sun in the first half of the day. And then Western Newfoundland, 9 degrees tomorrow, clearing tomorrow, Sunday night. And then 10 degrees on Monday, looking again at that drop in temperatures for the beginning of next week. For Eastern Labrador, 7 degrees tomorrow, and then rain possible on Sunday. Monday, Tuesday is when we get into that little bit of a mess. So 7 degrees for Monday, Tuesday dipping back down again. And then we're going to see pretty much the same thing for Western Labrador, but cooler, much cooler. So -1 for both Monday and Tuesday, which pretty much guarantees that that will be snow there. And then for Tuesday or Wednesday, 2 degrees and a little bit of sunshine, and likely a few flurries in the mix there as well. So sticking with Labrador, this is your weather photo of the day. It was taken somewhere in Labrador with a beautiful sundog there. I will tell you exactly where this was taken and who gave it to us when we come back.
Welcome back, everyone. So, Anthony, you have a couple of cats, right?
Yep, I guess this is equal time for all the bees we had on tonight. It was quite the video to Toronto, right?
Yes, my goodness. It's definitely making the rounds on social media.
It's all about determination, or maybe perhaps just a crazy cat owner.
Yeah, just have a look at this. Oh, this man had an interesting idea to get his cat back after it got stranded on a neighbor's patio.
Yeah.
Whew, I'm getting dizzy just looking at that.
Yeah.
Not an easy
How
task.
much do you have to despise your neighbor to do that instead of knocking on the door? So he goes, does that, and then here's the cat, got him.
He's not hesitating at all. I would be just frozen.
Well, the cat's really behaving. That's what, yep, look at that. No hands for balance.
Yep.
And there you go. There's the cat back.
And then he climbs
Yep.
up.
Off we go. Amazing.
Birthday and anniversary greetings is brought to you by Lane's Retirement Living. With a pool, cinema, and chef-prepared meals, everyone wants in. Reserve your suite today.
Well, happy 97th birthday greetings to Jane Walsh of Fermuse, now living in St. John's. She celebrated last Tuesday. And a happy 90th birthday to Daphne LaFosse from all of her family and friends. She celebrated on April the 21st. And a happy 90th birthday as well to Annie Georgina Griffin of Cornerbrook, with love from her 9 children, 21 grandchildren, and 28 great-grandchildren. Birthday greetings as well going out to Mary T. Ryan of Chapels Cove, now living in St. John's. Her 94th birthday is coming up this Wednesday. And Gordon Lannon Sr. of Bishops Falls will be celebrating his 97th birthday tomorrow. Hope it's a great one.
Happy 50th anniversary to Augustus and Dorothy Foster of Shoe Cove. Happy anniversary to Malcolm and Pauline Fudge of Deer Lake, who celebrated their 62nd anniversary on the 16th. Anniversary greetings going out to Malcolm and Betty Osborne of Shoe Cove. They celebrated their 51st anniversary on April 18th. Mike and Louise Banks of Upper Gully celebrated 51 years of marriage on April 19th. Congratulations. Happy 58th anniversary to Jim and Classy Keeping of Burnt Islands. They celebrated on April 20th.
And happy 64th anniversary to Freeman and Norma Payne. They are from Cowhead and now live in Deer Lake. Happy 59th anniversary to Bob and Isabel George. They celebrated on April the 22nd. And a happy 52nd wedding anniversary to Melvin and Gladys Sparks of Lower Island Cove. Happy birthday, Doris West in Gander. She turns 91 today. Hope you have a wonderful birthday. And a happy 91st birthday as well to Herbert Vincent in Cornerbrook. He celebrates on Monday.
Ludwig Reed of Anglee is also turning 91 coming up on Tuesday. He now lives in Grand Falls, Windsor. Happy birthday to Ida Pete of St. John's, now living in Paradise. She will celebrate her 99th birthday tomorrow. Happy 65th anniversary greetings to Ada and George Hawkins of Greens Pond, now living in Glovertown. And it's a 58th anniversary for Ruby and Gerald George of Random Island, now in Shoal Cove. They celebrated on April 20th. Congratulations. Happy 54th anniversary to Effie and Lloyd Wareham of Arnold's Cove. They celebrated on April 23rd.
And a happy 50th anniversary today for Dominic and Florence Bolas from Kippens. Happy 58th wedding anniversary to Bob and Dorothy Yetman of Southern Bay. They now live in Clarenville. And wishing a happy 59th anniversary tomorrow to Blanche and Roy Comden. Congratulations. And anniversary greetings to James and Margaret Squires of Burlington, who celebrated their 52nd wedding anniversary on April the 20th. Happy anniversary to Jim and Lillian Coombs of Plum Point. They celebrated 56 years of marriage on April 24th.
Gorgon and Patricia Vivian of Mount Pearl are also celebrating 55 years of marriage tomorrow. Congratulations. And congratulations also to Wally and Audrey Jenkins of Grand Falls, Windsor, who are celebrating 56 years of marriage. Happy 60th anniversary to Roy and Mabel Ryan of Cornerbrook. Happy 58th wedding anniversary to Harvey and Lorna Boone of Campbellton, who will be celebrating their special day on Sunday. Anniversary greetings to Irene and Clifton Loader of Summerside, Bay of Islands, who celebrated their 73rd anniversary on April 24th. And happy anniversary to Max and Joyce Rose of St. John's, who will celebrate their 59th anniversary on Tuesday, April 30th. And happy 55th anniversary to Jim and Virginia Derrigan of Gillams, who celebrated yesterday. Congratulations.
Yeah, big celebrations.
Yeah,
for
fine crowd.
everybody.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about our weather photo, or show you our weather photo. It was taken in Labrador, in Happy Valley Goose Bay, actually outside of Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was a beautiful sundog there, which is nice to see at this time. Well, maybe it's not so nice to see at this time of the year.
Oh, yeah.
That's mainly a winter thing. But yeah, so thank you so much for sending that photo in.
Yeah, when I was there last week, I was amazed actually at how much snow. Going by
So much snow.
Even going by the cemeteries, the snow, you couldn't even see the tombstones.
No. Were the trucks still buried?
And there were a lot of trucks buried, and then you got one warm day and it started melting, huge puddles everywhere. So anyway, I saw some nicer temperatures heading that way.
Yes, nicer
right?
temperatures above zero, so we should see a lot more melting, especially with that high sun angle.
Right.
It happens a lot quicker.
All right, the weekend's upon us. Of course, politicians probably campaigning right through the weekend, and next week, don't forget, make a date. The debate, the media debate with the leaders, is Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. It involves media in our province, and that'll happen at 7 with all 3 leaders. Mark it down. Should be an interesting night.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.